Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you all for coming. Why are we here today? I think if we have a success at the end of this meeting, it is thinking about how do we help Stan Crook and n-Lorem in their incredible mission. And we've got an amazing cast of characters here with us. We have patients, we have caregivers, we have scientific experts, we've got people who are technical experts. And so I'm hoping that we create a dialogue about not only what Stan and n-Lorem are doing for specific diseases, but one of the things I'll talk about a little later on this morning is that Stan is not only innovating medicine, he's actually innovating a care model. And you know, when Stan started off many years ago at SmithKline, and we have a shared history because I used to work for GlaxoSmithKline as well. But when Stan started off, he was developing medicines for large populations. So if we went back 20, 25 years, all we were thinking about are things like statins for high cholesterol, or we had products for hypertension. And the idea that we would treat people with just a few thousand seemed impossible to do. How could you possibly justify the investment that goes into a new medicine and then only sell to a few people? And then somewhere in the 1990s, a company that was founded just in this neighborhood called Genzyme started to change that. And they came up with a first cure really for Gaucher's disease. And this was an enzyme replacement therapy. And at the time, it was pretty difficult because they needed to extract an enzyme from human placenta. And the FDA said, well, okay, but if you want to get this drug approved, you're going to need to do over 100 patients. And Genzyme said, we have enough placenta for 12 patients. And they went around the world looking for patients. In fact, at one point they had one clinical trial center in the United Kingdom. And they brought a baby from Japan. But you can't just bring a baby from Japan to the UK for 6 to 8 months of treatment. Genzyme brought the parents, the siblings, and the grandparents all to the UK during this trial. And then it came to going to the FDA, and the FDA says, we can't approve a drug with only 12 patients of data. And so Genzyme wheeled into an advisory committee a real live patient. And that was so, had made such an impression on the advisory committee that the advisory committee voted unanimously to approve the drug. And then the drug got on the market, but of course it wasn't really a drug. It was, they used to, in Chinatown here in Boston, they used to have these things that looked like giant washing machines that would take these human placenta and try to extract the enzyme. But of course that then led to a further scientific revolution where they could actually make a recombinant form. So we didn't need the placentas anymore. And one of the most interesting things, and this is something that's always amazed me as I've gotten more and more interested in rare diseases, is at the time they thought there were only 700 patients in the world with Gaucher's disease. It was basically going to be people with Ashkenazi Jewish descent. And over the years they discovered that there were 7,000. And this is a lesson that I learned many years ago. I was a CEO of Sanofi. We acquired Genzyme, and we actually invested further in rare disease, and we're doing that now with Biogen as well. But the minute you offer a treatment, you increase the incentive for diagnosis. And for however many patients you think there are, once you actually offer treatment, you always find more. And that is actually also an extremely important part of making sure people get benefit for these medicines, because you actually need then a team of people that know how to go find patients. So in companies like Biogen, we actually have people that will look at family trees, will go hunt for people. Last night we were talking about a case where some of these diseases got spread by going back to the early days of explorers, and as ships left Portugal and went to different countries. We've just acquired a company called Reata that has a treatment for Friedreich's ataxia. And you'll find that that's only for people of European descent, but we actually have quite a large population in Brazil and Argentina because of those early day explorers, and they brought all of these genetic mutations then with them, but we don't find any in Asia, for example. So it's, in all of this, I guess what I'm saying is, first, it's a labor of love, right? Because this is not the way things get normally done. And the second is that you really have to challenge conventional wisdom, and I think we're still not there. And I'll tell you a little bit about how does a drug classically get developed, only to give you an idea of the amazing challenges that have had to be overcome by being able to bring these treatments for n-Lorem. But, you know, Stan, I'm sure, will be the first to say, you know, for as many people as we're helping, the job is not done. So again, at the end of the day, what I really like everybody to be thinking about, how do we help n-Lorem to scale? How do we help n-Lorem to think about, do we need to lobby to make sure that the FDA thinks about ultra-rare diseases differently than other diseases? I can tell you a case of a drug called Qalsody later on, and we're still seeing that, you know, the FDA wants to think about really large populations. And the unmet need and the risk profile is just so much different. And I'm sure there's many parents and caregivers here who can tell those stories. But that's what I think, that's why we've decided to host this. I am just overwhelmed by what Stan and n-Lorem have done. So we're very proud to host this, and we look forward to an engaging discussion today about how do we take what Stan has built and make it even better.